Today, I want to talk about pain management. We all have to deal with it. I've dealt with it quite a bit in my life, and all of us have. But I'll tell you my personal story. When I was 19 years old, I was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, which took very aggressive treatment, including chemotherapy. This was a very traumatic thing, but I had the support of my family. I had everything I needed, but it was very hard and I was highly traumatized from it. Lost all my health, lost all my strength, lost my mental well-being, a lot of things. And that's not the first or the last thing that happened to me. I've had other major health problems and tragedies just like everybody else. But I learned a lot about pain management from these things and what worked for me and what didn't. Back then, they were a lot looser about giving people medication. And I'd been a pretty medicated child, diagnosed with ADHD, so I was given Adderall at a young age because, I was giving everyone in the classroom a hard time, and my parents and myself, and no one knew what to do with me. And I was bored in class, so I would raise hell, do all sorts of stuff that today would probably not be accepted. So they put me on the meds, and then when I was in college and about 19 years old, I got sick and I had to drop out. And really, it took me back. I developed a habit. I was taking oxycodone, Dilaudid, Xanax, Klonopin, all the different anti-anxiety and anti-pain drugs, but I never developed a problem with them during the cancer treatment. The one thing that became a habit was cannabis. Okay, so since that part of my life, I always had an excuse to use the cannabis, the weed, the marijuana. And it had been a major part of my life since then. And the problem with having constant pain killing and constant things to mask what pain you're feeling is you cannot process the pain, okay? So I was very medicated from a young age, and then after I had my cancer treatment and beat that, I was medicated after that as well. Pretty much using pot every day, and it actually helped me. I know that a lot of people get lazy on it and stuff, but I was the opposite. It actually helps me get motivated to do harder things like going to work out and cleaning the house, and I actually get motivated to do chores and hard things when I do use cannabis. So it had a motivating effect on me, actually. So I had been using it for over a decade. I'm now 36, and up until I started this channel and I decided to change my life, and I decided to show people how you can change your habits, change your mindset. And you can see me in the first videos on this channel, okay? I was going through a breakup. I was not living the healthiest lifestyle. I wasn't sleeping much, but I wanted to show how things can change. And I know that I look a lot better in this video. And a lot of that is from stopping the marijuana, stopping the cannabis, and also, preserving my sexual energy, not being in a relationship anymore. And you know, being in a relationship, having intimacy, having someone, that was something I really valued. And smoking dope was also something that I really, really valued. And before going to the gym, before everything, like before anything where I'd have to, it's so funny because it usually turns people dumb, most people, but for me, it made me focus. So, like, you know, it really helped. It really helped, but it really helped my mood, everything, but I wasn't able to process my trauma. I wasn't able to process all the shit from my childhood, the cancer, the chemo, the fear of it coming back, the resentment for the time that I had lost, the resentment for everything, all me being angry with God, me being ungrateful, me being, all those things. I wasn't able to process it because when I woke up in the morning, I would have a cup of coffee and I would take a couple hits off of a vape pen or some weed, and I wouldn't do a lot, but I would medicate myself every day just a little bit so I didn't have to feel my pain. And unless you allow yourself to fully experience your emotions, experience your pain, and just fully feel it, it will not disperse out of your body. It's just like digesting food. When you eat food, your body has to digest it and then gets rid of the waste products. So sadness, grief, just the worst feelings, betrayal, whatever you're going through, okay? And by far this breakup was not the worst thing, and the cancer, probably not the worst thing, or probably not the hardest thing I'm going to have to deal with. But you do not process these traumas if you are doing something to numb out. So I understand it's really hard to give up these things that numb you out, whether it's sex, drugs, food, whatever it is. But you pay interest. Unfortunately, I wish I'd known this earlier. You pay interest when you numb your feelings. They go in the back of your consciousness, and you're paying interest. It grows a little bit, so you have more to process later when whatever you're doing stops working, okay? So I got to the point where the cannabis wasn't working and I had to use a little bit more and a little bit more, and I wasn't getting the results that I wanted out of it. And honestly, I wasn't able to progress emotionally and spiritually because I wasn't able to process all the shit from my past and all the shit that I had been keeping inside. So it is the hardest thing, but when you give up your dope, you give up your thing for a while. I'm not saying do it forever, but I'm saying process of what's going on, feel it. And that's the only way you're going to be able to let go. Once you felt it for a while, you can learn the skill and learn the process and build the muscle of letting it go. But you cannot let it go unless you process it. So don't numb your emotions, at least not long term. And I'm a fan of medications. I think cannabis should be legal or whatever. I don't have a problem with it. But even though it doesn't really harm your body, it will harm your brain and your spirit if you do anything every day. If you do anything that numbs you out every day, you will not have a chance to live a normal life and experience emotion and do all these things. So the reason I'm doing this video is because I'm, a couple months into giving up cannabis, and it is hard. I want to give you motivation for whatever your thing you're using to numb out. It's hard. And especially the first 48 hours, the emotions you're going to feel and the way you're going to feel is going to be shit, because all that toxic waste is going to rise up to the surface and you're going to have to process it. And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up for having the emotions. Don't beat yourself up for numbing them out. Don't beat yourself up for the past. You were doing the best you could with the information you had at the time. I truly believe that everyone tried the best they can with the information they have at the time. So now you know better. So you got to experience your pain, let it flow through you and out, okay? And don't numb it.